Almost like a statue, Himerus leaned against the icy pillars of the Olympian hall, the familiar chill coursing through his veins, as if they themselves were also made of stone. Cold marble columns, unyielding against his back, seemed to contrast his own shifting nature. He longed for the solidity they represented, the unwavering sense of self that eluded him. This grand hall, built by a few Telchines, was a testament to the satisfying feeling of community, a feeling that Himerus often felt far removed from. He took a familiar breath, the air thick with the heady scents of ambrosia and the vibrant energies of his fellow sonship. The music swirled around him, a cacophony of sounds that mocked the emptiness within him. He saw the others dancing, their bodies entwined, their laughter echoing through the hall. A pang of longing shot through him, a yearning for a connection he couldn't quite grasp. His eyes darted back and forth, gauging the festivities, his gaze drawn to the familiar figures of his brethren. He watched Zeus vanish and reappear, like lightning striking the ground, a playful demonstration of his mastery over the quantum forces that bound their reality. A flicker of pride stirred within him. They were sonship, born of the hecatonkaias at the dawn of existence, each bearing the celestial mark of their birth. 144 unique combinations of the sun and moon in the astronomia, each granting a different power. He, Himerus, was born under the law of oneness and law of vibration, destined to what? Mimic? Was that his true purpose? Nearby Comus, already in a drunken stupor, stumbled into Aphrodite, his laughter a booming gnarl that echoed through the hall and triggered a nervous tick in Himerus. The sight of Priapus, ever driven by his primal urges, sandwiching her from behind, his intentions as obvious as his protrusion, made Himerus's grimace deepen. Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, laughed and seductively grabbed Priapus's phallus, a scene that sent a wave of discomfort through him. Attempting to distract himself, he turned his head, noticing Bailey surrounded by a gaggle of nymphs and sonship, captivated by his tales of the chaotic visions he experienced. Baelus, cursed and blessed with the sight of true reality, saw the swirling flux of existence, the constant dance of creation and destruction. The crowd roared with laughter, entertained by Baelus's stories and the spectacle of the festivities. Tricks of theatre and dancing were everywhere. But even surrounded by such vibrant energy, Himerus came back to himself, his gaze falling upon the empty space before him. He tried to grasp the source of their enjoyment, the primal joy that seemed to come so naturally to the others. It always puzzled him. Yet still as motionless as the marble statue of Zeus that adorned the hall, his mind was at a stalemate, unsure of what action to take. Most sonship and nymphs revelled in the physical, especially Comus, who was deemed the immortal of revelry. Himerus, however, couldn't quite understand the appeal. He existed in a state of constant observation, absorbing the energies and emotions of those around him. Though, unless directly confronted, Himerus was genuinely cheerful for the happiness of others. Though, despite his appeasement with their joy, a feeling of emptiness lived within him. He saw a ghastly vision of himself dissolving into nothingness, the vibrant sounds of the celebration becoming distant and muffled. A strange wave of comfort, like sinking into a warm bath, enveloped him, drawing him deeper into the silence. He felt himself yielding to the pull, this familiar sense of detachment blurring the edges of his awareness. Then, with a subtle mental shift like waking from a daydream, he was back, the sounds of laughter and music sharpening into focus. He blinked, a faint echo of the unsettling vision lingering at the edge of his perception. Instinctively a smile crossed his face, an expression perfectly suited to the joyous atmosphere. With newfound resolve, he pompously walked through the party, exchanging pleasantries with everyone. Not yet ready to fully engage with the other sonship and nymphs, he kept his interactions short. A hand gesture, a handshake, a smile, and a few words of kindness and graciousness. He blended in from one scene to the other, performing spectacles like Zeus with borrowed power and mimicking the deviant behaviour of Comus, all the while maintaining an outward appearance of exuberance and friendly goodwill that masked the cold isolation he felt within. Unfelt Warmth, he thought, the ironic title he had given to his immortal ability. This ability, which allowed him to synchronize any supernatural power, especially other immortals, to himself, effectively mimicking any of his brethren within a certain range, was both a blessing and a curse. It was this very mimicry that also caused a sinking of their general disposition, perhaps the reason for his own jovial and flamboyant demeanour. At the festival, Himerus used Zeus's quantum lightning to perform his own dazzling tricks, drawing gasps from the onlookers. He tapped into Comus's infinite energy, his movements becoming a blur of motion, and even channeled Priapus's energy conversion, amplifying his charisma and making his smile feel almost infectious. However, whenever he came close to Belus, his vision would distort, momentarily plunged into the chaotic nature of reality that Belus was cursed and blessed to perceive. He was a chameleon, it seemed. The more he bonded with others, the more he felt separated from himself. Each smile, each friendly gesture, felt like a dagger to his autonomy. But even as he revelled in the borrowed power, as he continued his charade, weaving in and out between sonship and nymphs alike, spreading happiness and good intentions, he was plagued by an inner voice. Who would give a damn about me? He thought, his pace gradually slowing without him even realising. I know everyone is special. I can feel it, he mused, sensing their unique energies, their potent abilities. They are all amazing, he acknowledged. Except me, he reassured himself. A mimic, a nobody. Of course I only experience unrequited love, this unfelt warmth, he lamented. Who could love a shell? Coming to a standstill, a well of fire built within him, the heat rising to his face. This shift in his outward expression was immediately noticed by Belus, whose chaotic vision allowed him to perceive the subtle changes in Himerus's aura. Seeing Himerus withdraw into himself, Belus excused himself from the revelry. Himerus, meanwhile, retreated to an unoccupied section of Olympus, his face flushed with a fiery blush, his body radiating a palpable tension. Uneased by his distress, Belus calmly approached him and stated, Every sonship is different, Himerus. How do I look to you? Himerus asked, his voice laced with a desperate need for reassurance. You ask me this all the time, Belus replied, his voice patient and understanding. Like you usually do, a Charybdis of blackness, adopting and merging the form of each vibration you encounter, be it an immortal or an emotion. Speaking of Charybdis, Himerus frowned, recalling the nymph who had become trapped within her own whirlpool of self-destruction. What happened to her? She did it to herself, Belus said, his voice low and rumbling. She can leave that whirlpool whenever she wants. It's a prison of her own making. All the nymphs that split from the Telchines are weird, Himerus mused. The nymphs, Belus retorted, split from the remains of the Hecatonkais after the 144 eggs melted off, fluid and ever-changing like the sea itself. Unlike us, sonship, their numbers were not fixed, their powers not predetermined, and many did not warm up to us, referring to them as nymphs or brides. But those long-haired ones, Medusa and her sisters, Belus began, a mischievous glint in his eye. If Aphrodite thinks that Priapus has an erection, Belus chuckled, Medusa should see this monolith I have for her. Both laughed, the sound echoing through the hall, a brief respite from Himerus's inner turmoil. He gained some composure, still chuckling, but then his expression turned serious. He looked at Belus, a question burning in his mind. Belus, Himerus began, his eyes swimming with raw emotion, bombarded from shards of Belus's chaotic vision. You see everything, the true nature of reality, the chaos that underlies it all. How can you do it? How do you bear witness to the constant flux, this burgeoning maelstrom, and still laugh? He gestured around them, at the revelry, the fleeting moments of joy. How do you find peace amidst the storm? Belus regarded him for a moment, his gaze deep and knowing. The chaos, Himerus, he said slowly, is not something to be feared. It is the source of all things, the catalyst of creation. To see it is to see the truth of existence, the beauty in the impermanence. He smiled, a hint of sadness in his eyes. And sometimes, he added, the only way to deal with the overwhelming nature of it all is to laugh, to find joy in the dance, even as it changes and shifts around you. To further ease his troubled mind, Belus said, Read this, handing him a tablet. It might help you understand. Himerus took the tablet, his fingers tracing the ancient symbols etched upon its surface. He began to read. The Tablet of Beginnings. Front. The memory of the unfathomable, painful to think, ponders all that is, was, and will be, a warning etched in the soul of existence. In stillness before dawn, a secret garden sleeps, awaiting the touch of the divine, where dust shall awaken and dance with the stars. Beware the titans, birthing might. Their forms hold secrets, veiled from sight. When skin is shed and flesh unfolds, a new secret is untold. From one desire, two offspring rise, light and shadow, entwined. 12 beacons stand defiant against the encroaching void, their light a bastion against oblivion. As two become one, and balance is found, the storm shall rage, but they'll stand their ground. Not in power, but in love's embrace, lies the key to survival, the saving grace. When the mirror reflects the shattered visage, the observer must love its likeness, or the entire image shall fracture into nothingness. Back. The universal laws of the astronomia. On the tablet's unseen face, where shadows dwell and whispers linger, 12 laws lie graven, shaping the tapestry of being. Action. As the hand that strikes the stone meets resistance firm and bold. Compensation. From sea to sky, the waters wend, a cycle endless without end. Duality. In the heart of light, dark sleeps and hope in sorrow finds its keep. Vibration. The world sings with unseen force, a chorus shaping all, of course. Attraction. Across the void, where spirits fly, kindred souls find their way thereby. Cause and effect. Seeds of wrath, they bear dark fruit, while kindness blooms in virtue's suit. Oneness. Though separate in form and guise, all share the source where life does rise. Rhythm. The tides advance and then retreat. Life dances twixt the dark and sweet. Relativity. Truth, a mirror, shows deceit, its essence found where souls convene. Correspondence. As stars above in heavens gleam, so earth below reflects their beam. Transmutation. From fire, ash, and from that ash, new life shall rise in glorious flash. Gender. In countless forms consciousness is dressed, a tapestry where souls find rest. Intrigued, Himerus asked, "How did you get this weight, isn't this?" Yeah, the Tablet of Beginnings, created by an unknown sunship or possibly nymph, probably more likely though a sunship. One of the smart ones, as or possibly one of the ones able to see different truths on Gaia, Belus responded. Other sunship can see what you do? Himerus asked curiously. Not what I see, no, but other things, like the threads of fate or even different worlds. Me and a few who found it planned on trying to establish a set order of things. We were hoping to get all the sunship together to establish a leader, granting the tablet as a symbol of their authority. It was actually the point of this party. We are trying to determine the right time to announce the idea. As if on Zeus roared a request at the crowd in attendance. All the 144 sunship and the nymphs who were interested in the festivities. Please, brothers and sisters, can I have your attention? His voice rang aloud. Me, our brother Belus, as well as a fine genus brothers, have an idea. Initially hesitant for a moment to speak, he thought of all he had done so far, all that was still left to do. He reproached. Let's hear you out, brother. Nike shouted through the crowd. An idea of hope flared in Zeus's eye, a fire burning away all doubt. Zeus stood before the assembly, his gaze sweeping across the faces of his fellow siblings. His heart ached with the weight of infinite worlds, the endless cycle of chaos and destruction that he had witnessed, each minute feeling like a millennia. We must forge a new path, Zeus declared, his voice echoing through the hall. A path of order, of harmony, where compassion and understanding reign supreme. We need a soul guide to help us navigate our ship to waters of peace. A murmur rippled through the crowd, a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Kronos stepped forward, his ears acute to Zeus' words. Belus spoke. Zeus, your heart is noble, but your vision is idealistic. Chaos is the natural order of the universe. To impose order upon it is to defy the very essence of existence. Zeus, undeterred, pressed on. Chaos is not inevitable, it is a choice. We have the power to shape our destiny. We can choose compassion over cruelty and cooperation over conflict. A heated debate ensued, with gods taking sides. Some argued for the preservation of the old ways, while others, inspired by Zeus's vision, embraced the idea of a new order. We must establish a system of governance, Zeus proposed, a system that prioritizes the well-being of all beings, a system founded on compassion, cooperation, and individual expression. Kronos scoffed. Such a system is impossible, Zeus. Stasis and regression is the natural way of things. No matter how well-intending, eventually everything will regress. No matter what immortal time will inevitably consume us all, Kronos demanded. Zeus countered, "No, you are wrong, brother. Do you know why I named my immortal Olympus? It is the turning of darkness into light, seeking the peak of bliss we can establish. Through experiencing countless realities, I molded this paradise, my Olympus. I've seen countless other versions of each of you, yet I was cursed with being the only one of me. I experienced this life differently. I can create the perfect world. A place that is forever at peace, no war, no anger. I wish for all of you to experience this paradise with me.